Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll make a start. Welcome to Brisbane. Welcome to Mianjin Delta. It's lovely to see so many of you here from all over the world. It's wonderful to see so many people from the Northern Hemisphere, from Europe, from America, South America online, South Africa, New Zealand, and all across Australia. So a muggy welcome to Brisbane. They are predicting storms later on this afternoon. So thankfully our storms come. They're quite ferocious, but then they go very quickly. So if it comes, pardon? It makes it cooler, yes. It's very muggy outside today, so it's nice and cool in here. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Our other room is just behind us, room 358. That's room 2. Toilets are just out through the glass doors on your left. Coffee, which most of you have found, which is good, is just down below us in the Fizz Refec next to Subway, the market cart. And then where you registered is where all our meals are this week. So to formally begin, I'd like to acknowledge the Turrbal and the Yagara people as traditional owners and custodians of the lands here at UQ. I'd also like to acknowledge all the Indigenous people participating here at Delta, and on behalf of everyone, I'd like to pay our respects to their ancestors and descendants who continue cultural and spiritual connections to country. We recognise their valuable contributions to Australia and global society. We did try and have a local didgeridoo player come along, but unfortunately they were unavailable. And because Brisbane is sort of split between the Turrbal and the Yagara people, we don't do official welcome to country here at the university. We do the acknowledgement of country instead. So just a little bit of background about the local Indigenous area here. To welcome everyone, I'd like to invite our head of school, Professor Joe Grotowski, head of maths and physics, to say a few words. Joe. Okay.
Camera. Okay, I hope those of you online can see me. It looks like it's more set up for Michael's height and not my height. So just put like 2.5 degrees down there. Okay, so as Michael said, my name's Joe Grotowski. I'm head of School of Maths and Physics at University of Queensland. First and foremost, I'd like to welcome everybody to Brisbane, to the University of Queensland, and in particular to this conference. It's great to hear that we've got people from all around the world coming. A special welcome to those who've come a really long way, like, for example, from England. And good news for those of you from England, of course, is you might have seen the schedule and have thought you were going to be distracted by sort of checking the cricket scores on your phone from time to time. But good news for you. No, yeah, exactly. No need whatsoever to check. And if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, Michael can fill you in. Is Marilyn online by any chance? The big fan, she would be able to fill you in anyhow. So the first, as Michael said, this is the 15th Delta conference. I think it's the 4th one back in Brisbane. The first one was in QUT back in 1997. So I think the title of the conference is pretty good, Delta, all right, because we've had quite a few changes in the teaching of university mathematics and statistics since 1997. Think how we would have been running this conference back then. You probably had overheads and stuff like that, right? It wouldn't have just been blackboards, okay, but we certainly would not have had a Zoom version. And there have indeed been massive changes in teaching and learning of undergraduate maths and stats since then. Think about, well, I'm sure you'll be thinking about it during the conference, but think about the level of the preparation and the motivation of the students. Even deeper than that, think about the funding of universities and the structure, and even deeper than that, and quite with increasing prominence in recent years, think about the value that people are placing on education in general, on mathematics and statistics in particular in society. Think also about the various tech that we have now that wasn't even thought of in 1997 and is now playing a central role in how we deliver our teaching and learning. It gives us challenges. It also gives us opportunities. And I'm sure people will be talking about that during the week. But what hasn't changed since 1997? Okay. And sorry, Michael, I do have to say, Carlton still hasn't won another premiership. That's one thing that has definitely not changed since 1997. But beyond that, in 1997, and in fact, in 1907 and in 15 and 16, whenever, we've always needed dedicated teachers who are at the forefront of teaching and learning, who are leading with evidence-based and evidence-led practice to decide what's the best way of teaching our students, what's the best way of equipping them, not just to learn the mathematics and statistics they're learning in that year and that semester at the university, but to be able to continue to learn for the rest of their life. So on that, I wish you all the best for the conference, and thanks again for coming out. And I'll hand back to Michael. Oh, yeah. Have you on?
Thanks, Joe. Joe did mention the cricket. The second test is here in Brisbane, and hopefully it goes longer than 2 days because I couldn't get tickets until the fourth day. Joe mentioned people from England. We do have some people from England, but we've got people from further afield: Norway, Netherlands, Northern Ireland, Ireland. So it's wonderful to see so many people from so many places around. And I think back to my first Delta, which was Rotorua in 2011, followed by Kiama, and then Fremantle was the last one in person that I went to. And things changed in 2020, and we had the online Delta in 2021 out of Auckland. And I've got a few snapshots of a few of the proceedings and the themes over the years. And if we go right back to the very first one that Joe mentioned that was hosted downstream at QUT in the city, and the theme there, what can we do to improve learning? 28 years on, we're still thinking about that same question all the time. And then the next one, which was up a bit north from here, not in Brisbane, but up on the Whitsunday coast, the challenge of diversity. And diversity has many more meanings these days than it did back in 1999. And so that could be another valid theme for a Delta. And then Warthog Delta, gearing for flexibility, 2001. Well, flexibility was a really big issue when COVID came in 2020, and some of us don't teach live lectures anymore. Some of us live stream lectures, other of us have recorded lectures. And then the last one there, Shining Through the Fog, which was Kiama, I think. The fog, there's lots of fog around. I mean, Joe mentioned a few issues. The fog of funding or lack of funding, federal and university funding. A lot of people couldn't come to Delta because they couldn't get funding. We had a bunch of American people, unfortunately, pull out at the last minute because someone in America pulled a lot of funding from the university system. The issue of COVID meant that some of us lost live lectures and live tutorials and lost staff, and there were redundancies. So there's been so many changes over the years, and we have a wide range of talks. This Delta, Meanjin Delta, Meanjin, the local word for Brisbane. But we see all of those locations over the last 28 years spread across the Southern Hemisphere. And I'm delighted to announce at the opening ceremony, this is usually done at the closing ceremony, but Tanya Evans will be hosting the next Delta in 2 years' time at Auckland. Following on from the first online Delta, Tanya has kindly put her hand up. Where are you, Tanya? I can't see you in the middle. Tanya has kindly put her hand up to host the next Delta. Did you kick on at the Stock Exchange Hotel last night? Someone said to me last night, how did you manage to volunteer to host Delta? I said, I didn't. 2 years ago at the last Delta, at the International Steering Committee lunch, I got a phone call and Greg Oates said, Michael, you're right to host Delta in 2 years, aren't you? We think you'd do a great job. And as Greg had just basically around that time examined my PhD, I wasn't in a position to say no. So Thanks, Greg, for recommending me for Delta, and hopefully I make it through the week. But we've got a wonderful week planned. So many talks, over 60 talks, 2 streams for the first 2 days, and then back to 1 stream for Thursday and Friday. We have the dinner tomorrow night at Customs House, which is a UQ building, beautiful old building in town, right on the river overlooking the Story Bridge. If you haven't bought your ticket for that, we do have a couple of seats left. A few people couldn't make it, as I said. So come and have a chat to me if you'd like to attend the dinner tomorrow night. As I said, the very first Delta was back here in Brisbane in 1997, despite what I said in the program. And there are at least 2 people here today who presented at that very first Delta. Johan, over on my left, stick your hand up. You presented at the very first Delta. And Michael Bulmer from UQ. Michael is right up the back. Michael, so welcome. Both those gents have played a really important part over the years of organising Delta, and Michael was heavily involved in the first 3 Queensland Deltas, editing the IGMEST publication as well. And a big thank you to Leanne for heading the IGMEST proceedings, or the special issue, which will be out late next month. So Leanne, Greg and Tracy, thank you very much for doing that. And the proceedings, so yes. And the conference proceedings headed up by Don, Jim and Amanda. I saw Amanda's in the middle. I haven't seen Don this morning. No, Don, yep, you have Don and Jim are up the back. So thank you very much to the 3 of you. Okay, so I think that's enough from me.